The day I was diagnosed with stomach cancer, I lost the baby I was carrying. My husband lied to me, saying he was on a business trip. In reality, he and his first love were staying in the hospital room next to mine. Horace, by the time the divorce papers reach your hands, I may already be gone. My only request is that after I die, please don't come to visit my grave. Because I no longer love you. On the day I confirmed my pregnancy, I was diagnosed with stomach cancer. It turned out that the frequent stomach pains and vomiting I'd been experiencing weren't just because I was pregnant. The day the diagnosis came, I sat dazed on a bench outside. There was no way to keep the baby. My last conversation with Horace had been a week ago. Baby, I've been feeling stomach discomfort lately. When will you be back? He had been away for a week on a supposed business trip, meeting an important client. But then I got a message from Sally, "Sis, can I borrow my brother-in-law for another week? This divorce case is tough. He's a pro, and I only trust him. I know my dear sister won't mind." Attached was a video. In the video, Horace had his sleeves rolled up and was holding a bowl of porridge. He looked at the camera, exasperated but gentle. "Stop filming. Just eat. Don't complain about stomach pain later and then whine about how the medicine tastes bitter." Horace always had endless patience and indulgence for Sally. No, it wasn't just Horace, everyone doted on Sally, including my parents. Sally came into our family when she was 8, adopted by my parents. She was always beautiful, lively, and full of energy. I, on the other hand, was quiet, introverted, and shy, barely noticeable. If Sally was a radiant rose, I was a dandelion hidden in the grass. She was bold and dazzling, I was reserved and silent. From a young age, Sally always found a way to take everything I had, openly and without hesitation. "Dad, I like sister's shoes more, can I wear them? Mom, can I have that blue dress? Please." My parents would always feign a bit of difficulty, then ask my opinion, symbolically. I would nod in silence, and they'd praise me for being so considerate. If I refused, they would say, "You're the older sister, you should give in to your little sister. Sally isn't our biological daughter, and she's emotionally fragile. We should treat her better. Tracy, we know you understand, right?" I didn't want to understand, but I also didn't want to trouble my parents. I knew that crying children got candy, but my mom always had migraines, and my dad was so busy with work. I didn't want to make a fuss over shoes or a dress and add to their stress. In high school, Sally found out from my diary that I liked Horace. She teased, "Half the girls at school like Horace. What's there to be shy about? Besides, what's so great about him? He's got a terrible temper and always acts so aloof. I don't get why you all like him." Sally said she'd help me pursue Horace, help us get together. On the basketball court, she hooked her arm around Horace's shoulder, saying she wanted to learn how to play. I sat on the sidelines, watching their bags. When they finished, Horace playfully kicked Sally. "You're terrible and still want to play? You keep breaking the rules and running with the ball. I'm a girl. How would I know the rules?" Sally pouted, clinging to me. "I'm not like my sister who knows everything. I'm just dumb, and you're still mad at me." I knew the basics of basketball, layups, traveling violations. Horace, who loved basketball and respected the rules, just smiled as Sally ran all over the court with the ball, even lifting her by the waist to help her shoot. It turns out, when you like someone, you let them break the rules. In our sophomore year of college, Horace confessed to Sally, after 6 months of preparation, even buying her a diamond ring. Sally cried, "Horace, I can't be with you. My sister likes you. If I dated you, I'd be betraying her. You know I'm adopted. I can't hurt anyone, especially not my sister. I don't give a damn whether she likes me or not." Horace yelled at me in fury. "Tracy, did I ever ask you to like me? Just because you do, am I supposed to be branded with your name and live out my days alone?" It was the first time I'd seen Horace so angry, his eyes bloodshot, ready to tear apart the night. "Sally, you didn't want to be with Horace, yet you stayed ambiguous with him for so many years. Sharing straws while drinking, using the same chopsticks while eating, walking arm in arm in public. When people asked, she always said she and Horace were just like siblings. But when Horace kissed her while drunk, she never pushed him away. After that night, Sally went abroad. Our family couldn't afford her overseas tuition, it was paid for by a senior in her major. Later, Horace drank himself into a stomach ulcer, and I was the one who dragged him out of a party and took him to the hospital. Eventually, we ended up together. On our wedding day, Sally returned from abroad to attend. She wore a stunning backless red dress, radiant and captivating. During the toast, her glass clinked against Horace's, and suddenly, she teared up. "I'm sorry, I got emotional. I'm just too happy that my sister's getting married." She downed her drink, eyes shimmering with tears. She wanted to keep drinking, but Horace pulled me away to another table. After the banquet, I saw Horace holding Sally, both of them in tears. "Is marrying her the only way you'll come back to see me?" Horace sobbed. I stood outside in my wedding dress, holding a cup of honey water to help with the alcohol, feeling the chill of the night seep into my bones. I always thought Horace loved me, if not fully, then at least a little. But it turns out, it was all just what I wanted to believe. In love, the most pathetic person is the one who's delusional. After Sally left, Horace and I didn't talk for a long time. I volunteered at a nursing home and met Horace's grandmother, and we developed a close friendship, despite the age difference. When I ran into Horace again, I realized we had this unexpected connection. At that time, he was busy juggling part-time jobs and his studies. Later, he was preoccupied with building his career, trying to make a name for himself in this city. Because of my close bond with his grandmother, Horace and I gradually grew closer. When did our feelings start to deepen? Maybe it was that night in the pouring rain, when he held an umbrella for me and got half-soaked himself. Or perhaps it was one of those late nights when he bought me snacks from a convenience store, and every single thing was exactly what I loved. Or maybe it was when I worked overtime until the early hours, and when I came downstairs, I saw him asleep in his car, waiting for me. After graduating, Horace became a lawyer, working tirelessly, to the point of drinking with clients until he developed a stomach ulcer. His grandmother called me, asking if I could take care of him. When I went to see him at the hospital, he was lying there, pale and exhausted. I silently watched him finish the porridge I brought. Horace then asked me, "Tracy, do you still like me?" I replied, "What about you? Do you still like Sally?" After thinking for a moment, he said, "It's all in the past." I believed him. We naturally fell into a relationship and eventually marriage. There were sweet moments. He bought me a 2-carat diamond ring and never missed picking me up from work, rain or shine. Even when he had business dinners, he'd always have dinner with me first, before heading out. On our wedding night, I said to him, "Horace, I overheard what you said to Sally. If you're marrying me just to see her again, we can divorce right now." I loved Horace deeply, but I couldn't debase myself to the point of losing my self-respect. Horace held me in his arms, explaining for a long time. He said he had just been drunk, trying to make peace with his unresolved feelings from the past. "Tracy, I'm sorry. It won't happen again. Please forgive me," he said. It's a shame that I hadn't heard the saying, "A man's words are often deceiving," back then. In this relationship, Horace deceived both himself and me. We dated for 2 years, married for 3, yet it couldn't compare to a single glance from Sally. Horace brought Sally into our home while I was in the hospital, waiting to undergo a miscarriage procedure. I told Horace I was going on a business trip for a while, and he reminded me to stay safe. During the time Horace was with Sally, I installed security cameras in the house. I had a cat named Rice, a gift from one of my fans, and I loved it dearly. I was terrified that one day I'd faint outside, and no one would be there to take care of Rice. After setting up the cameras, I arranged for someone to come over and feed my cat while I was hospitalized. Oh my gosh, Horace! A cat! As soon as Sally stepped in, she shrieked and jumped into Horace's arms, wrapping her arms around his neck. Rice strutted confidently, craning his neck to scrutinize Sally while baring his teeth. "It's fine, Rice won't hurt you." Horace's expression froze for a moment, but he quickly pushed Sally away. Sally moved into the guest room, saying she'd leave once she found a new place. She inspected every corner of the house like she was surveying her territory, with Rice trailing behind, keeping a close eye on her. Sally shot Rice a disdainful glance, showing not a hint of fear. So it turns out. She had been faking her fear of cats all these years, just to prevent my parents from letting me have one. Sally headed toward the kitchen. Sally. Horace stopped her, his tone anxious. Don't use Tracy's kitchen. I work as a food show planner and part-time cooking streamer. I'm extremely protective of my kitchen, just as Horace is about his study. In that regard, we respected each other's habits. Sally gave a small, pitiful response, but I knew she'd eventually touch my kitchen. Sally always tested Horace's limits, trying to gauge my place in his heart. When I saw her intentionally break the couple's mugs Horace and I had bought together, crouching down to prick her finger on the shards, I wasn't the least bit surprised. That's just who Sally was. She might not want something, but she'd never let anyone else have it. I told you not to go into the kitchen. Horace's expression darkened when he saw the broken mugs. Those mugs were meaningful to us, we'd bought them on our honeymoon in Europe. One was tall, the other short, one was big, the other small. When placed together, they looked like a couple embracing. When hot water was poured into both, they'd clink against each other, making a clear, crisp sound. One time, after Horace upset me, I ignored him. He kept pouring hot water into the mugs all night, and the constant clinking echoed in my ears. Stop it. I couldn't help but push him. You finally spoke to me, Horace said, hugging me and nibbling my ear. I'm sorry, honey. I promise I'll never make you mad again. From then on, those mugs became our way of apologizing to each other. Horace, you care more about a mug than my cut hand? Sally looked heartbroken, tears streaming down her face as if she couldn't believe Horace would treat her like this. She threw herself into his arms, crying, Are you still blaming me? I never wanted to hurt either of us, that's why I left the country. I'm just their adopted daughter. I had to be so careful, pleasing my sister, pleasing my adoptive parents, just to get a little affection. How could I compete with her? Horace stared at the broken pieces on the floor and finally hugged Sally lightly. It's just a mug. Let it go, don't cry. Watching the two of them embrace through my phone, I whispered in my heart. Horace, you're right. It's broken, so let's let it go. The night before my surgery, a nurse asked if I had any family with me. I said no, and she looked at me with a brief flash of pity, then gently reassured me that the hospital had staff to accompany me if needed. I smiled at her. They say the height of loneliness is undergoing surgery alone, but I didn't mind. Loneliness had always been my normal. The baby was only 2 months old, and it was destined never to meet me. Yesterday, when I called my mom, I overheard Sally laughing in the background. Mom. Come here, this is hilarious. Sally called out, her voice filled with joy. Tracy, I'm going to watch TV now. I'll talk to you later, Mom said hurriedly before hanging up, not giving me a chance to speak. I was used to it by now. I'm not good with words, unlike Sally, who always knows how to charm everyone, especially our parents. But that's okay. After I'm gone, at least my parents will have someone to keep them company. While waiting in the hospital room, the nurse tried to lighten the mood by chatting with me. Tracy, I secretly took a picture of the couple next door, she whispered, showing me the photo. Look, aren't they a perfect match? The guy is super handsome and sweet. His wife's pregnant and really emotional, but he's been comforting her the whole time. In the picture, Horace was holding Sally, his expression tender, his eyes filled with affection, as if he were cradling a treasure. I smiled as I looked at it and nodded. Yes, they do look perfect together. But I think you're prettier, Tracy. It's always so nice talking with you. All of us at the nurse's station fight over who gets to check on you. Hee hee, I won at rock paper scissors this time. The nurse, who was young and lively, beamed at me. Tracy? A doctor in a white coat walked in, followed by several other doctors and nurses. He had beautiful eyes, and when he took off his mask, I saw his refined and handsome face. I was surprised, my surgeon was so young. He had been away on business for a while, remotely reviewing my case. The nurses had comforted me earlier, saying he was the best surgeon in town. Despite my complex condition, they assured me I would recover under Dr. Jared's care. The nurse quickly stopped joking, clearly intimidated by him. Dr. Jared glanced at my medical records and said to the doctor beside him, "I'll be joining you in the operating room." The other doctor seemed surprised, hesitating as if he wanted to say something. I lay in bed as the nurse wheeled me out. As we moved, I caught a glimpse of the person from the room next door, stepping out. "Sally, stop crying. It's not good for the baby. The doctor said if we don't keep this baby, it'll be hard for you to get pregnant again in the future. I hope you'll really think about it." Horace's patient voice drifted over as he tried to comfort Sally. A wave of tension surged through me, terrified that he might see me. I didn't want to experience such a dramatic scene at this point in my life. My husband was accompanying another woman for her prenatal checkup, while I, pregnant with his child, was about to undergo surgery to give up mine. And soon, everyone would know that I lost my baby, that I had stomach cancer, and that I didn't have much time left to live. Just thinking about that scenario horrified me. The more you fear something, the more likely it'll happen. And of course, just my luck, the nurse pushing me had a slip of the hand. My bed bumped into Horace. "Be careful." Dr. Jared quickly stepped in, blocking Horace. With one hand, he grabbed the side of the bed and pushed me away. I hurriedly pulled the blanket up to cover my face. "Horace, are you okay?" Sally's voice faintly called from behind. "What are you looking at? Why are you so distracted?" Once I entered the operating room, a sudden wave of nervousness washed over me, and my whole body turned cold. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably as my hand instinctively reached for my abdomen. "After we cure your stomach cancer, you can have another baby." Dr. Jared stood beside me, looking down, his voice calm. I cried harder. "No, I won't have another child. But I feel like I'm going to die, Dr. Jared. I'm so scared." I didn't know why I broke down so suddenly. I couldn't control my emotions, my body trembling from the cold. Dr. Jared stepped closer, firmly gripping my hand. Then, he wiped my tears with a sterilized cloth. His hands were strong and warm. "You're not going to die. If I'm treating you, you won't die." He looked into my eyes, speaking slowly, deliberately. "One day, you'll have a happy family, a lovely child. And everyone will love you, so much." I mumbled, "Really? Will they only love me?" "Yes, only you." Dr. Jared gently covered my eyes. "Now, relax, just relax." In a daze, I felt like I was dreaming, a soft and gentle dream. In the dream, my lover loved only me. The day of the surgery, when I woke up, I saw a bunch of missed calls on my phone. All from Horace. "Darling, when you're back from this business trip, let's have a baby, okay?" He'd sent a photo. It looked like he was browsing a baby store. In the corner of the picture, I could see Sally's arm. "Sweetheart, is work really busy? Why haven't you answered your phone? Is something wrong? Why aren't you replying to my messages or answering your calls? Are you mad at me? I've been a bit busy these past few days. How about we go on a vacation when you're back?" One message after another, along with a string of missed calls. Was Horace starting to panic? I opened the home surveillance camera to check. Horace was pacing around the living room anxiously, continuously calling and messaging me. Sally walked over to comfort him. "My sister's not a kid. Her phone's probably just dead. She's not the type to be careless." Horace snapped, his voice irritated. "No matter how busy she is, she always calls me back right away. I haven't been able to reach her since last night." Sally was taken aback by his tone, pressing her lips together in restrained silence. "Horace, I found an apartment," Sally finally said after a brief pause. Horace looked at her for a moment and then said, "Okay, I'll help you move." "Horace? Are you ignoring my calls because you're mad at me over Tracy? Are you throwing a fit because of her?" Sally suddenly snapped, her voice filled with cold sarcasm. "Are you about to tell me that you're madly in love with your wife and can't live a moment without her? What was last night's kiss then?" Her words made me freeze. I pulled up last night's surveillance footage. It was 1 a.m., and Horace had been calling me. He must have been having trouble sleeping. There was a glass of wine on the table. He leaned back on the couch with his eyes closed. Sally, in a thin silk nightgown, leaned over and gently kissed him. Horace responded naturally, passionately. "Horace, admit it, you still love me. Tracy is just a stand-in for me," Sally whispered to him. Horace suddenly opened his eyes, stared at Sally for half a second, then pushed her away. "You're really into this, aren't you?" Dr. Jared suddenly waved his hand in front of my face, glancing at my phone. He paused for a second before saying, "Sorry, didn't mean to pry." I quickly shut off the surveillance footage, my mind blank for a moment. In just a few seconds, I seemed to have thought about a lot, but also nothing at all. A strange emotion was slowly draining away. A subtle, creeping pain, like peeling back layers of skin. "Dr. Jared, I want to be discharged for a bit, to go home and pack a few things." I looked up at him and softly said, "I can't stop worrying about my cat, Rice. I want to bring her out and find her a good home." The surgery date was set. I had to make final arrangements and quietly leave. "I can be a good home for her. You can trust me with Rice for now." Dr. Jared glanced at the time. "I'm just getting off work, I'll give you a lift." I was taken aback, thinking to refuse, but before I could say anything, Dr. Jared tapped his watch. "Miss Tracy, a doctor's time is precious. 15 minutes. Meet me in the underground parking lot. It's chilly outside, wear something warm." He strode off, not giving me a chance to say no. The nurse, who had been standing by the door, quickly slipped inside after he left. "Tracy. The whole hospital is talking about it, Dr. Jared likes you." Her face flushed with excitement as she practically squealed. "Oh my God, is the sun rising in the west today? Dr. Jared actually likes women." I was stunned. "I've only met him once, don't talk nonsense." The nurse insisted, "I'm not wrong. Dr. Jared never gets involved with patients. But last night, after your surgery, he sat by your bed the whole night. I was on night duty and snuck a peek. He was like a statue, just stared at you for 2 hours, doing nothing. If he doesn't like you, you must owe him a huge debt." When I got into Dr. Jared's car, I instinctively went for the back seat. He opened the passenger door for me. "I don't have a girlfriend. You can sit up front." His words reminded me of what the nurse had said, making me feel even more awkward. I silently took my seat, feeling on edge the entire ride. Asking someone outright if they like you would be embarrassing, better to pretend I didn't know anything. "The nurse with the big mouth didn't tell you I stayed in your room last night?" Dr. Jared said casually, making a turn while keeping his eyes on the road. I felt the heat rise to my face. Not knowing how to respond, my hands and feet felt stiff. "Thank you, Dr. Jared." I hesitated, then added, "Thanks for caring." He glanced at me, a slight smile playing on his lips. I couldn't bear to look at him. Finally, we arrived at my house, and I quickly got out of the car. "Ms. Tracy, I'll wait in the car. Just put Rice in this." He handed me a pet carrier. I was taken aback. Rice had never left the house, and I hadn't prepared anything for her. When I got home, I didn't expect to see Horace there. He froze for a moment when he saw me, then rushed over and hugged me tightly. "Sweetheart, you're back. Why didn't you call me? I would have picked you up." He held me so tightly and asked, "Was your phone dead? I've been calling you nonstop." Gently, I pushed him away and took a few steps back. "I'm fine. My phone was on silent, so I didn't hear it," I said, feeling a dull ache in my stomach. Horace stared at me. "Why are you holding a pet carrier? Are you taking Rice somewhere?" I'll be on a long business trip this time, and you're too busy. I've arranged for Linda to take care of Rice for a while." I avoided his gaze. "Rice." I raised my voice and called out. Rice rushed out of my room in an instant, jumping into my arms, licking me nonstop with excitement. All right, baby." I couldn't help but laugh, stroking its little head. I hadn't seen Horace for half a month. I thought when we met again, I wouldn't be able to suppress my emotions. I thought I would be in pain, that I would question him, that I would bring up everything about Sally. But when I got home and saw Horace, I realized many things didn't matter anymore. Horace kissed Sally? That didn't matter anymore. Whether Horace still had feelings for Sally? That didn't matter either. Because in my heart, Horace no longer mattered. I had finally broken free from the cocoon of loving Horace. I was ready to fly away, completely. Honey, you don't look well. Are you feeling unwell? Horace put his arm around my shoulder and whispered, you mentioned your stomach was bothering you before. Did you get it checked? How about I ask Linda to go on the business trip instead? My stomach? I was stunned for a moment. Did I mention this to Horace? I had no recollection of it. I'm fine. I brushed off Horace's hand and planned to pack some essentials, including Rice's favorite little dolphin toy. But Horace suddenly grabbed my arm, forcing me to look at him. What's wrong? I looked at him, confused as to why he was holding me so tightly. Horace seemed to be suppressing some emotion, his chest heaving slightly before he finally spoke. Tracy, I feel like something has changed after this business trip. We need to talk. I couldn't help but laugh. Yes, something has changed. I don't love you anymore. Tracy. Horace's voice suddenly rose, his face darkening as he said, no matter what you're upset about, we can talk it out. But jokes like this, don't ever say them again. I found Horace's logic strange. Why does not loving him have to be a joke? Does Horace think I'll love him for the rest of my life? My stomach hurt even more, and I didn't want to argue with him. Suddenly, Horace's phone rang. He hesitated for a moment before answering. Horace? I'm bleeding so much, I'm so scared. Sally's sobs echoed through the phone, and Horace's face immediately changed. Tracy, I have an emergency. Stay home and wait for me to come back. Horace hurriedly headed for the door. Horace? I called out to stop him. Horace turned to look at me. I asked him, is a friend of yours in trouble? His hand froze slightly on the door handle, and without much pause, he quickly responded before rushing out. I stared at the closed door. Just like the door of my heart that I had now closed. Horace, I won't say goodbye to you. Because we will never meet again in this lifetime. The day I left, my stomach hurt so badly I couldn't straighten up, and I vomited blood. Rice was terrified, nudging me repeatedly with its head. With the last bit of strength I had, I called Dr. Jared. My condition had worsened. Dr. Jared rescheduled my surgery to an earlier date. Dr. Jared, please give Rice to my good friend to take care of. Dr. Jared, there are 2 letters in the drawer by my bed. Please help me send them out. Dr. Jared, thank you for liking me. It makes me happy. I like being liked. That day, I said so much. I was afraid that if I didn't say it now, I wouldn't get the chance later. Tracy, take care of Rice yourself once you get better. The letters, I'll send them out. Don't worry. I like you. Be even happier, because I've liked you for 4 years. I was pushed into the operating room. The bright light shone into my eyes, and the last thing I saw was Dr. Jared's eyes. Dr. Jared, I forgot to tell you, your eyes are really beautiful. It would be even better if you smiled more. Horace's perspective. After Tracy left for her business trip, I started to sense something wasn't right. Whenever she went on trips before, she would always send me pictures of the local food or beautiful scenery. But this time, she didn't send me a single message. The last one she sent was, honey, I've been feeling like my stomach's been off lately. When will you be back? That was more than 2 months ago. At the time, I was with Sally, helping her finalize her divorce. Her ex-husband was very controlling, and Sally had no one to turn to in that city, so I had to help her. But when it came to Tracy, for some reason, I only told her I was meeting a client. She helped me pack. The temperature difference there is bigger than here, so be careful not to catch a cold. If you're working late, take a nap instead of drinking coffee to push through, or you'll wake up with a headache. Tracy always spoke gently, her words calm and methodical, her reminders just right. That night, I told her maybe we should try for a baby. She hooked her arms around my neck, a faint blush appearing on her fair face, so beautiful. When I met Sally, she was just as bold and bright as always, playfully punching me in the chest and calling me brother-in-law with a laugh. It didn't feel right, so I asked her to call me by my name instead. Sally's situation was far more complicated than I had imagined, and I ended up staying for more than half a month. When I got back, Sally had nowhere to stay, so she asked to stay at my place. Coincidentally, Tracy was away on a business trip, so I let Sally stay in the guest room. I thought that by the time Tracy got back, everything would be sorted with Sally. We could go back to the way things were. But I never got the chance. When I saw the security camera in our home, I knew I had missed my chance. That day, after rushing Sally to the hospital, I came back home. There was a pool of blood on the floor near the entrance, and the door was still open. In that moment, all the strength drained from my body. I felt like I couldn't breathe, my chest heavy with panic. In my mind, I imagined all sorts of terrifying scenarios, each one filled with Tracy's voice, calling for help. That's when the letter arrived. The delivery man stood at the door, hesitating as he asked if I needed him to call a doctor. I took the letter and opened it. It was a thin envelope. Inside was the divorce agreement, along with a letter from Tracy. Horace, by the time you read this letter, I might no longer be in this world. But Dr. Jared says I won't die. I want to hold on to hope and embrace the new life that awaits me. I'm sorry to tell you this way, but we once had a child. That child was only 2 months old when I was diagnosed with stomach cancer, and I couldn't keep them. The night of my surgery, I had a dream. I saw a little angel waving at me. When I woke up, I felt both happy and sad. You actually met this child once, on the night you and Sally were in the hospital room next to mine. When the doctors wheeled me out, I accidentally bumped into you. I read those lines over and over, and suddenly, the words blurred. It turns out that the sudden unease I felt that night in the hospital was the child reminding me to check on Tracy. But I didn't go after her. Tracy, and that child, passed me by. It turns out that when Tracy messaged me back then, she wanted to tell me about the pregnancy. She had stomach cancer. No wonder her face looked so pale when I saw her. In this house, Tracy only took rice with her. Rice was the only thing she cared about. Horace, these past 3 years of marriage, I've been very happy, without any regrets. When you got your first paycheck from a case, you bought me a 2-carat diamond ring, joking that if we ever fell on hard times, we could sell it. I'll always remember the smile on your face then. That diamond ring was now lying next to the pool of blood. Even after vomiting blood, Tracy didn't forget to take off the ring and leave it for me. Horace, when we were together, I told you clearly that I loved you. Now that we're parting, let's say goodbye properly. I don't love you anymore. I hope we both live well from now on. A thin piece of paper, with just a few simple words, this was all Tracy left me. We dated for 2 years and were married for 3. Yet, in the end, she left me with just a few short lines. Tracy was like a breeze in my youth. Back in high school, there were many boys who secretly liked her. She had fair skin and a gentle demeanor, and when she smiled, her eyes seemed to shimmer with a soft glow. But at that time, I only had eyes for Sally and never noticed Tracy's beauty. Her charm was quiet, like a breeze that silently found its way into my heart. The night Sally left for overseas, I lashed out at Tracy. I blamed her affection for pushing Sally away from me. After that, we never saw each other again. Later, I messaged Tracy to apologize, only to find that she had blocked me. Sally's departure hit me hard, and I threw myself into working and making money. My grandmother was living in a nursing home, and I could only find time to visit her occasionally. The next time I saw Tracy, it was a rainy night in the hallway of the nursing home. She was wearing a light blue dress, so pale it looked like the ripples of water when the wind blew. Tracy had her hair tied up in a high ponytail and was carrying a pot of porridge. When she saw my grandmother coming out of the room, she gave a helpless yet gentle smile. I told you to wait for me inside, but you just wouldn't listen. It turned out, she knew my grandmother. I had thought I would be like some romantic hero, waiting for Sally forever. But I never expected that I would fall for Tracy. We met every Friday afternoon at the nursing home. She always wore different dresses. A light green knee-length dress that showed off her beautiful legs. She would walk over from under the scorching sun, a slight sheen of sweat on her forehead. "Sorry, I'm a bit late," she'd say, folding up her umbrella and looking up at me from the steps, her usual shy smile on her face. "I made some small snacks for your grandma to whet her appetite." I'd take the lunchbox from her, feeling the breeze blow her hair against my face. She'd quickly tie her hair back, embarrassed. There was a red string bracelet around her slender wrist, and I vaguely remembered she'd worn it for many years. We spent 3 quiet years like that, sometimes talking, sometimes not. Tracy was a calm person. She would talk about the books she'd recently read or recipes she found interesting. When I mentioned work, she'd give me practical advice. In my first year of working, I ended up in the hospital with a stomach ulcer from drinking too much with clients. Late at night, lying alone in the hospital, I stared at the ceiling, and all I could think about was Tracy's face. She would definitely come visit me, Grandma would ask her to. Tracy came, carrying porridge, reminding me not to eat too much and to follow the doctor's orders. I asked her, "Tracy, do you still like me?" She tilted her head slightly and asked, "Do you still like Sally?" That's when I realized Tracy was a very proud girl. She didn't cling or break, remaining composed no matter what happened. If she couldn't have something, she wouldn't be devastated, she would just quietly walk away. And if she did get it, she wouldn't show extreme joy either. On our wedding night, I made a mistake. To this day, I still don't know why I said those things to Sally. I married Tracy because I loved her, yet I told Sally it was to see her. I've gone over that night in my mind so many times, trying to understand my state of mind. In the end, I concluded that people have moments of weakness. Tracy said that because she loved me deeply, she would forgive me this one time, just this once. So when I went to see Sally, I couldn't let Tracy know, I had to keep it from her. I kept telling myself that nothing would happen between Sally and me. In hindsight, I realized Sally didn't choose me because I was just a poor guy. So after I became successful, I was eager to prove myself when I saw her down on her luck. When I saw Sally relying on me, begging me, I felt an unprecedented sense of power. That inflated my ego, filling the void left by my unrequited love for Sally when I was younger. Sally still had feelings for me, and she even tried to seduce me in subtle ways. But over the years, I was no longer the naive kid I once was, I could see through her clumsy tricks. Still, I didn't expose her. I played along, curious to see what would happen when she realized the loophole in the divorce agreement meant she wouldn't get the huge alimony or custody of her child. And for this bit of revenge, I lost my marriage and drove Tracy away. I lost my wife. "Horace, Tracy's never coming back, is she?" My mother-in-law's eyes were red and swollen as she cried in pain, "We failed Tracy. We ignored her. Dad, Mom, I don't even know where to start. I have stomach cancer, and I don't know if I'll make it through this. If I don't say these things now, I may never have the chance again. I've known since I was little that I wasn't a likable child. When I was younger, I had a stutter, and people often criticized you behind your back because of it. At family gatherings, I wanted to talk, but Mom would cover for me, saying I was shy and didn't like to speak. Eventually, I stopped talking altogether. I've always struggled to express my emotions. Dad, you probably preferred lively, cute girls, you'd always praise May, the girl next door. But I could never bring myself to say, "I love you, Dad. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry I never lived up to your expectations." When Sally came into our family, I was actually happy. She could easily say, "I love you, Dad. I love you, Mom," and share fun stories that made you laugh. After she arrived, there were more smiles around the house. I remember one day in middle school, it rained heavily. "Dad, you picked Sally up but forgot about me." I was standing under the corridor, but I didn't call out to you. The rain stopped soon, and I took the bus home. That's when I learned not to expect too much. Dad, you have shoulder problems. Don't sit watching TV for too long, go out and stretch. Mom, when your migraines act up, try using the aromatherapy I made for you. I learned it from a therapist, it helps a little. There's so much I want to say, but maybe it's because I've said too little over the years. Please don't be sad. I love you, Mom and Dad. My mother-in-law covered her face, sobbing uncontrollably. My father-in-law smoked silently, reading the letter over and over. Tracy's better off dead. Sally suddenly grabbed a small camera from the table and threw it at me, screaming hysterically, "Horace! This is karma. You pushed Tracy away because you wanted revenge on me. She watched everything through this camera, watched as you brought me home, watched me break your glasses, watched you call her, watched you kiss me. I couldn't tell if I felt more pain in my chest or more numbness." "Sally, how can you talk like that? Tracy is your sister," my mother-in-law said, looking at Sally in disbelief. "I never saw her as my sister." Sally sneered, finally revealing her true feelings. "You only raised me out of guilt. Didn't my real father die protecting my stepdad? You thought that bringing me from the countryside and giving me a home would cover up the truth?" Sally's father and my father-in-law were comrades. When Sally was 6, her father died in an accident during a mission. She was taken back to her rural relatives and lived poorly. It was said that when my father-in-law arrived, he found her, small and alone, washing clothes in the yard. "I hate all of you. I lost my father, and Tracy doesn't deserve your love either." Sally laughed coldly. "You raised me like a pet, just to make you happy. But when it really mattered, you gave me nothing. In my sophomore year, I wanted to study abroad, but you had the money and refused to give it to me because you were secretly saving it to buy Tracy a house." My father-in-law looked tired, but after a while, he spoke. "Sally, it's true that your father died protecting me. But that mission went wrong because he took bribes and leaked classified information. I never told you because I wanted to protect you. As for the money, you only heard half the conversation. Yes, we were saving to buy a house, but you would have had a share too. We're getting old and just wanted to make sure you and Tracy would have something to rely on in the future, even if you got married. What's the point of saying all this now? We don't even know if Tracy is dead or alive. Where is she?" I touched the wedding ring on my finger and slowly said, "She'll come back." I knew if Tracy was still alive, she would come back to me. Because she would need to come back to divorce me. Tracy's perspective. I finally made it through that endless night, stepping into a light that belonged to me. That day, I woke up to the sound of crying. "My precious girl. Tracy, sweetheart, I didn't even get to see you before now. My darling, you have to get better. How much you must have suffered. No wonder you hadn't posted anything in so long, it turns out you were sick. When you wake up fully, I'll make sure to love you properly." Dr. Jared's mother was, it turned out, one of my biggest fans, under the username Pro Kitchen Destroyer for 50 years. Since I'd started as a food vlogger, she had been following me, often tipping me, and sending pictures of her own cooking attempts. Over the last 4 years, even though we'd never met, we'd developed a special bond. She always held the top spot on my leaderboard, and other followers affectionately called her my mom fan. I had never shown my face on camera, so how did she know it was me? Of course Jared recognized you. He recognized your hands. She took my hand and pointed to a small red mole on my palm. "See? That son of mine has a good eye, doesn't he? He took one look at my precious girl and knew it was you." Since that day, Jared's mother had come every day to bring me meals, sit with me, read with me. Back when we'd just chatted online, I had thought she was enthusiastic, but seeing her in person, well, she was even warmer than I'd imagined. "You don't know how much Jared likes you. About 4 years ago, he had terrible insomnia. His mental health was not great. Then, one day, he happened to see me watching one of your streams, so he sat down to watch too. Ever since then, he's been there for every stream and every video you posted. Take a look at his phone if you want, it's full of your videos. He can only fall asleep at night listening to your voice. If I hadn't known you were married back then, I would have made that stubborn boy go after you." She handed me a peeled apple, pouting playfully. "Look, honey, isn't Jared a little pitiful too? For years, no girlfriend, no boyfriend, he just falls asleep to your voice every night. Why don't you give him a chance?" Before my surgery, Dr. Jared had made his feelings clear, and I couldn't keep leading him on. "Dr. Jared, we're not right for each other. I'm still married. You'll be free soon, the divorce papers are already sent. But I lost a child once and might not be able to have another. I know. I was there during your surgery. As for kids, it's not a deal breaker for me. But I remember you really wanted a child. And don't worry, your tests look good, so it's still possible. As long as I'm healthy too, it's possible. But even if the surgery's a success, I might not live that long. That's why I wanted to tell you how I feel as soon as possible. We'll take it one day at a time. Standing in the doorway, Jared's mother overheard every word, and she couldn't contain herself. She stomped her foot in frustration, and Jared caught her right then and there. You blockhead. You're such a smooth talker when you argue with me, but clueless when it comes to expressing your feelings to a girl. Serves you right if you stay single and fail at confessing your love. She huffed, angrily munching through 2 apples before she calmed down. Dr. Jared came to check on me later and showed me a video of Rice. The little guy was having a great time at Jared's house, bouncing around with Bucket. Bucket was Rice's older sister. I had originally thought Aunt Leelon had given me my cat, but later found out it was actually Dr. Jared. I'd named the kitten Rice, so he named the one he kept Bucket. Together, they made Rice Bucket. Well, I think he's the real Rice Bucket. Aunt Leelon would always roll her eyes at this story. You were so busy, and I hardly got any time to chat with you when you were online, and he would steal my phone to talk to you instead. I was always afraid he'd do something sneaky and make himself your little side guy. I couldn't help but laugh, but it tugged at my incision, and tears came to my eyes from the pain. Oh, ma'am, you think your son would really go that low? Dr. Jared raised an eyebrow, feigning disinterest. His mother immediately put her hands on her hips and sneered, "Look at him, trying to act innocent. He's the one who tried to look up Tracy's IP address in the middle of the night to see where she lives. Creepy, isn't it? I had to knock some sense into him. Who knows what shameless things he would have done if I hadn't stopped him. He's the kind of guy to get drunk and watch your videos like an obsessive fan." I blushed, stunned. Who would have thought this calm, serious Dr. Jared would do something like that? I wasn't that obsessive. He thought for a moment and looked at me. I'm pretty normal. Don't worry. Not at all. I tried to hide my embarrassment, reaching up to touch my warm ears. Not at all what? The sentence felt strange hanging there. Dr. Jared chuckled, and his smile was like a spring thaw, the stars falling down. I hadn't realized that Dr. Jared could look so handsome when he smiled. Looks like I should take your advice and smile more, he said, flicking my forehead gently before leaving. My ears grew even hotter. Wait, did I actually say that to him in the that day? I stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks, and when I was discharged, Auntie whisked me back to her place. I was supposed to pick up Rice, but somehow ended up staying. Stay. Where do you think a patient like you is going? Sweetheart, listen to me and stay here. Auntie held me tight, refusing to let go. I'll do the cooking, and you can guide me along the way. Her hug was so warm and smelled so nice, I couldn't help but hug her back. The house was large, beautifully decorated, and felt homey. On my first day there, Auntie came in with an armful of flowers, thrilled. I've always dreamed of having a daughter, going shopping, doing beauty treatments, arranging flowers, and having tea together. I'm so lucky to have a daughter just like that, she said, her eyes misting over. You don't know, every time I watched your videos, hearing your voice, I'd wonder whose little fairy you were, whose sweet girl you were, talking so gently. In my hardest moments, just hearing you speak helped me feel better. Your hands are so lovely, even cutting vegetables and cooking is a joy to watch. Just a bit of flattery, Jared said, playfully splashing cold water on her excitement. Ma'am, your pot's about to burn. Auntie screamed and rushed to the kitchen. Dr. Jared walked over, sat next to me, and helped trim the flower stems. My father passed away 4 years ago. He spoiled my mom so much that she never had to lift a finger. She didn't handle things well after he was gone. But since she found your videos, she's been teaching herself to cook and chatting with you whenever she can. She says your voice is so gentle, just like my dad's, so you must be a very kind person. Auntie's adorable, always spoiling me with money. I felt a bit guilty about it. When I turned off the tipping option for a while, she actually messaged me, upset that not being able to send me gifts was making her depressed. I reached to grab a flower, and a thorn pricked me. It was nothing serious, but Dr. Jared caught my wrist and looked closely. He frowned. Hold still. I'll trim these flowers. I'll get rid of the thorns, and then you can arrange them. It's fine, it's just a little prick. I pulled my hand back slightly. Dr. Jared let go quickly, looking at me. It's not fine. I feel the pain too. My ears warmed up again, and I was at a loss for words. When I was with Horace, he never said things like this. I'm not good with expressing my feelings either, so we rarely exchanged sweet words. But ever since meeting Dr. Jared, I never know how to respond to him. Do you have any plans? Dr. Jared suddenly asked me. I paused for a moment before answering. I'm thinking of moving to another city. I want to leave here, start fresh, somewhere new. After the surgery, I can't do demanding work anymore. As a culinary planner who used to travel often, it's not a job I can keep doing. Even though Linda said I could go back to her company after I recovered, I don't want to. I have some savings, and continuing as a food content creator would bring in enough to get by comfortably. Have you thought about spending some time abroad? Dr. Jared handed me a rose, looking into my eyes. I remember you once mentioned wanting to study in the US. That was something I'd brought up casually in a live stream a long time ago. I was surprised he remembered. I majored in art history in college, and I'd always wanted to pursue my master's in the US. When Sally went to study in the US during my sophomore year, I remember feeling envious. I'm afraid I won't get in. I hesitated. Then go first, and take the entrance exam when you're ready. Dr. Jared placed the rose in my hand. I'll be doing a few years of training there, we could go together. I looked up at him. He looked back at me. Dr. Jared, I've noticed you always look me in the eye when you talk to me. I clutched the rose. He smiled. That's because I want to see myself reflected in your eyes. Besides, he grinned wider, I know you like my eyes. The first time we met, I was wearing a mask, and you looked at my eyes several times. Before your surgery, you even complimented me on them. And every time I look straight at you, your ears turn red. My ears burned, they must be red again. He was right, but I didn't want to admit it. Horace's perspective. It was the third year since Tracy left me when I saw her again, this time in the US. For 3 years, she hadn't reached out, though she would sometimes call her parents. Since she left, I haven't had a single peaceful night of sleep. I worked myself to exhaustion, drowning my loneliness in alcohol, but late at night, there was no warm porridge, no glass of water waiting. The pantry cabinets never had any new dishes added. Tracy loved buying dishes and teacups. Every time she saw something she liked, she would agonize over it. Horace, I can't buy both, so I'll just get this one. She would reluctantly pick one of the plates. When we got home, she'd light up seeing I'd bought the other one for her. I no longer get to see her little frown as she struggles to choose between a bowl or a plate. And I no longer have the privilege of tasting the new dishes she made. One night, I stumbled upon one of Tracy's cooking videos and tried cooking along with her instructions. She held up a plate to the camera, her voice only, remember, everyone, if you slice the meat like this, it'll look much nicer when cooked. I remember that video. I'd almost barged into her shot then, she kicked me under the table. The more I teased her, the more flustered she became, and after the stream ended, she made me eat some overcooked meat out of spite. The more sleepless the night, the more I thought of her. Every little memory became clearer in countless sleepless nights. The red mole in her palm, her flushed ears when she was shy, her sweet smile. She kissed my eyes and said, Horace, your eyes are so beautiful. I missed her like I was losing my mind, but there was no word from her. Then Sally sent me an address. I saw her in a classmates group photo by chance. Tracy is studying in the US, living here. I was overjoyed, immediately bought a plane ticket, and flew to the US. Every minute of that flight felt like torture. I kept wondering what I'd say when I saw her. Tracy, I miss you so much. Tracy, could you forgive me one more time? Tracy, I was wrong. 100 lines ran through my mind, but not one seemed right. I arrived at her address on a bright, sunny afternoon. Tracy happened to step outside, wearing a beautiful white dress, her hair pinned up, graceful and lovely. She was riding a pink bike, circling the garden and along the small path. I wanted to walk up to her, but my feet felt like lead. I wanted to call her name, but my throat felt glued shut. In the car window's reflection, I saw what I looked like now. Unshaven, clothes wrinkled, face exhausted, eyes weary. Panic hit me, and I hurried back to my hotel to pull myself together. I couldn't let Tracy see me like that. I didn't want to disappoint her. It took me 2 days to get myself together enough to see her. On the way, I bought her favorite gardenias. At 7 a.m., I stood by her door, hesitant, until I finally found the courage to knock. After a short wait, someone opened the door. It was a stranger. He wore a black robe, holding a cup of coffee, refined in appearance, with striking eyes. He looked surprised to see me, then his brows furrowed slightly. "She's still asleep," he said. "Please wait in the living room." I entered stiffly, feeling numb and bitter. The bright, comfortable living room had a brown couch Tracy loved, with a knitted blanket tossed over it. Its uneven pattern told me Tracy must have made it herself. She was never skilled at knitting, but loved to try. The open kitchen held a large cabinet with various plates and dishes. By the doorway was a collection of little figurines. Tracy loved those small trinkets. On the coffee table were a pair of mismatched mugs, likely handmade, with handles that linked together. One had an S, the other a Q. I recognized her writing. She always made the tail on her Q curl upward. "Coffee or tea?" the man asked. "Tea," I replied. He made me a cup, and the scent alone told me it was Tracy's homemade fruit tea. I'd often forgotten to drink water when working. Tracy had made me fruit tea for its calming effect. The man sat across from me, sipping his coffee leisurely. "You might have to wait a while," he said, glancing at his watch. "She usually sleeps until about 8:30. I noticed a slight red mark on his collarbone. Seeing my gaze, he casually adjusted his collar. The minutes ticked by, and I felt like I was in a frying pan, the tension unbearable. I wandered around the house, trying to ease the discomfort. By the window, I saw a puzzle in progress, 1,000-piece Van Gogh sunflowers. Tracy had never finished one before, but she was tenacious. She must have decided to try again. Fresh gardenias filled a vase, making the ones I brought seem unnecessary. Perhaps I wasn't the only thing that was unnecessary. A cat suddenly appeared, perching on a flower stand and staring at me curiously. "Rice," I called out, recognizing it immediately. I moved to pick it up, but it quickly jumped away. "That's not Rice, it's Bucket, Rice's older sister," the man explained lazily. Another cat appeared and gave me a small meow. I'd mistaken Bucket for Rice, but Rice hadn't mistaken me. She circled me once, then jumped onto the man's lap. "Off you go, you'll get fur all over me," he muttered, nudging her off. "I'll hold you later, after I've cleaned up." Rice meowed in mild protest, before trotting off with Bucket. A moment later, I heard Tracy's voice from upstairs. "Jared, were you picking on Rice again? She's complaining to me." Suddenly, I felt like I was on fire. I got up and left. I couldn't face her. How could I face her? I rushed outside, standing by the empty road, gasping for air. That house was full of Tracy's presence, yet I couldn't breathe. A little later, I heard her call my name. "Horace?" I turned and looked at her. She was standing on the porch, holding Rice, smiling at me. "You're here. Join us for breakfast?" I noticed the cup and flowers on the table and realized we had a guest. "Horace is here," Jared said, raising an eyebrow. I thought I'd heard him wrong and asked, "Horace?" That name felt like it had traveled through time from a distant past. I hadn't thought about it in so long. Jared came over, pulling out a pair of socks and slipping them on my feet, giving my ankle a little squeeze. "Yes, you heard right. He's here." Jared took my hand, leading me downstairs. "He left as soon as he heard your voice." I thought for a moment and said, "He might still be here. I'll go check." Jared raised his eyebrows even higher. I kissed him on the eyes and smiled. Dr. Jared, there's still something important left unfinished between Horace and me. Sure enough, Horace hadn't left. He was standing under a large tree at the entrance. He looked a lot thinner, and his eyes were a bit moist when he saw me. Horace seemed to lose control and rushed over, pulling me into a fierce hug. I gently patted his back and smiled, saying, "Horace, it's been a while. Come inside for a bit." He let go, turned his back to me, and stayed quiet for a long time. While Jared was making breakfast, Horace and I sat down in the living room. "The flowers are beautiful, thank you." I found an empty vase and placed the flowers inside. I apologized, "I'm sorry I've been busy recovering and haven't gone back home to get our divorce finalized." "Has it kept you from marrying Sally?" "I was never with Sally, not before, not after," Horace said, his voice rough. I was surprised but didn't press him further. "Oh, I see." Then Horace suddenly broke down. "Tracy, when you were having surgery, you clearly saw me. Why didn't you call out to me? When you saw me with Sally on the home camera, why didn't you come back to confront me?" His intensity startled me. Jared came over, his face dark. "Horace, if you're going to talk to her like this, I suggest you leave and come back when you can be civil. Can you leave us alone for a bit?" I held Jared's hand, giving it a gentle shake. He grunted softly. "Remember to drink your milk." After Jared left, I pulled out a few tissues and handed them to Horace. Horace's eyes were red as he begged, "Tracy, could you come back?" I sipped some milk to ease the knot in my stomach. "Horace, from the day you secretly went to see Sally, a lot of things became impossible to fix. I'm not the type to fight for things. When you were with Sally, I went to the hospital for a checkup by myself. I found out I was pregnant, then learned I had stomach cancer. Sitting in that busy hospital lobby with those reports, I felt scared. I messaged you, but you didn't reply. Then Sally sent me a video of you comforting her, feeding her congee. After that, I packed my things alone and checked into the hospital. I was worried something might happen to Rice, so I hired a helper to feed him and installed a camera. It wasn't meant to spy on you. And you ask why I didn't come back to confront you." I paused, thinking carefully before continuing. "Because it didn't matter anymore. Horace, when I decided not to love you anymore, a lot of things stopped mattering." Horace looked devastated. "Tracy, is there really no chance for me? This time, you won't forgive me?" I quietly looked at him, saying nothing. The last time I saw Horace was in winter after I returned home. He was thin, wearing just a light coat, looking so haggard. "Tracy, so this is what it feels like when your stomach hurts so badly," he said with a bitter smile. "I can't eat, I cough up blood, and when I go to the hospital alone, the noisy crowds make me feel even more miserable. This is what you went through in the hospital by yourself." I went to the hospital yesterday, to the maternity department. I saw a girl who had just had surgery, crying in the hallway. And others, pale-faced, with empty stares. "You went through so much, all alone." I thought for a moment and replied, "Luckily, Dr. Jared was with me through it. I didn't suffer too much. The divorce paperwork didn't take long, 2 stamps, and 2 people who were once so close were now strangers." "I'm wearing the same outfit from when we got our marriage license," Horace said, clutching the divorce certificate. I was a bit surprised. "Really?" After a moment, he replied, "You used to remember everything about me so clearly." I didn't know how to respond to that. Since I decided not to love Horace anymore, a lot of memories of him had gradually faded. A heart is small, it can only hold one person. A vase may hold extra flowers, but a heart has no space for more love. He looked so frail that I couldn't help saying, "Take care of yourself." He smiled. "I will." That was the last time I saw Horace. Later, I saw Sally's black profile picture on social media. I thought about it but didn't ask her anything. "Rice. Bucket. Stop. That vase is Mom's favorite, don't you know that?" Jared was scolding Rice and Bucket again. The 2 troublemakers had broken a vase and were meowing for me to rescue them. I sighed and went over to help. Life, after all, keeps moving forward. Jared's perspective. "I used to think I was a very unlucky man. During those years studying medicine, I was always so busy. When I looked around, even the stray dogs had companions, and yet I was alone. The year my dad passed away, my mom nearly fell into depression. Pressure kept building up, and I almost fell into depression too. A person's nerves can sometimes bear the weight of a mountain, but other times, just a straw can break them. My breaking point was when a patient died on the operating table. Every doctor knows that this is part of the job. Every surgery has risks. Not long after I left the operating room, my mom called. My dad had died. I sat for a long, long time, trying to process it all. Dad had spent his life with words. He was a gentle, refined man. The phrase, flowing like water, perfectly described him. My mom was always chattering, endlessly. I'm the impatient type. Only my dad was always there, moving at his own pace, calmly following behind the two of us. Dear, don't rush. Son, take your time. He got cancer and was gone. I couldn't save my patients, and I couldn't cure him. After Dad was gone, Mom started obsessing over making strange dishes. When I noticed the bank account activity, I almost thought she was getting scammed. Then I found out she was hooked on a cooking livestream. Don't rush. Slice this slowly and carefully, don't hurt your hand. Good cooking takes time, you can't hurry it. Her voice flowed from the phone, gentle and calm. Listening to her, I lost track of time. I looked over and saw my mom, holding her phone, in tears. After that, every Friday night, we'd sit together in the living room, watching her stream. Yes, the soup needs to simmer for a bit, let's chat in the meantime. What do I do when I'm upset? I find a quiet place and sit alone. I rarely get angry. She'd chat, sometimes just hum a little tune when there was nothing to say. Those sleepless nights finally found a remedy. Listening to her voice, I could sleep in peace. Mom became close to her, calling her my girl every chance she got. But it's too bad my girl already has a husband. Yes, she had her own family. Jared, truly was an unfortunate man. In one of her streams, she mentioned wanting a cat since childhood. By the time I realized it, there were 2 kittens at home. Mom almost kicked me off the 15th floor. She got in touch with Tracy and had the kittens sent over. Mom hid Tracy's address from me, worried I'd lose my mind and go looking for her. In her next live stream, Tracy said very sincerely, "Thank you, Kitchen Master Auntie. I really love Rice. I promise I'll take good care of him." And so, the little kitten meowing at my feet got his name, Bucket. Mom rolled her eyes and snorted. Rice. Bucket. On a work trip, a friend sent me a medical record, saying a patient wanted me to take a look. I recognized her name. Tracy. When I rushed back, she was lying in a hospital bed. She was dressed in a light blue hospital gown, her hair loose, her gentle beauty softening her features, her eyes like tranquil spring water. When she spoke with Tracy, her voice was tender, just like in the videos I'd seen. I glanced at her palm, and sure enough, there was a small red mole there. Tracy came alone to have an abortion and ended up running into her husband with his lover. Her marriage had problems. I thought to myself, Jared, you're actually a bit lucky. But then again, I'd rather not have this kind of luck. After following her for 4 years, I knew she had an avoidant personality. If you don't say things bluntly, she'll never bring them up on her own. That night after her procedure, she fell asleep, and I stayed with her in her hospital room. At one point, she drowsily woke up wanting water, and I was the one who helped her drink, though she wasn't fully conscious. For years, I'd dreamt about what this woman looked like. Now that I'd finally seen her, I couldn't look away. Tracy, the little gossip, teased me. Dr. Jared, I think Tracy from room 302 is so pretty, so gentle. If I were a guy, I'd definitely like her. I replied to Tracy, well, what a coincidence. I am a guy. Tracy clapped a hand over her mouth, letting out a loud squawk. The next day, rumors spread all over the hospital. Finally, one of the world's greatest mysteries had been solved. People confirmed it. Dr. Jared, who everyone thought was indifferent, actually liked women. He liked the gentle, beautiful woman in room 302. Fine, so be it. This news reached Tracy's ears. When I spoke to her, her ears flushed bright red. I vaguely remembered once watching her live stream. She disappeared from the camera for a moment. When she returned, her lips looked a bit darker, and her ears were burning. I wanted to explain to her that I wasn't exactly indifferent, but how could I say it without sounding suggestive? Then my mom burst into the hospital, rushing to embrace her precious daughter-in-law, crying her eyes out, which startled Tracy quite a bit. My mom said, "Tracy has been through so much. If you dare to mistreat her in any way, don't blame me for cutting ties with you." Mistreat Tracy? How could I even think of it? Just a few words from her, and I'd be too flustered to even remember what I wanted to say. I used to watch her live streams and listen to her voice as I fell asleep, thinking, she must be a wonderful woman worth liking. Now that I'd met her, I was even more certain of one thing. She's a woman worth loving with all my heart. Sometimes, she'd be scared enough to cry, saying, "Dr. Jared, I'm so afraid." Yet she was also so strong, watching the video of her husband kissing his lover with an indifferent expression. In that moment, a thought crossed my mind: I could never betray her, could never hurt her. Because if she ever stopped loving me, life would be nothing short of hell. When Tracy agreed to go abroad with me, my mom spent the night praying for my late father. Thank God. Jared has finally done something right. She was so thrilled that she stayed up all night, even picking out names for future grandchildren. Tracy is like a breath of spring. Wherever she goes, warmth follows, filling my heart with endless blossoms. When she was still in school, I'd go pick her up. I remember seeing her sitting on the grass, flipping through a book. A leaf fell onto her hair, and she picked it up, looked at it, and slipped it into her book. "Are you making a bookmark?" I asked as I walked over. Tracy, with a serious look, said, "Dr. Jared, I've just picked up your book of fate." She'd recently been watching a show where they used leaves as a book of fate. "Then tell me, where does my happiness lie?" I asked with a smile. Tracy put her hand in mine, also smiling. "It's in your hands." She always has these cute little moments. Later, she asked me a question. She said, "You fell for my voice, but what if, when we finally met, you found I wasn't attractive and felt disappointed?" A friend of mine had also asked me a similar question, thinking it was ridiculous that I'd become infatuated with a food vlogger I'd never seen. He said, "What if your Tracy turns out to be a bad person?" "I tried to stop liking you," I told Tracy. "But I couldn't even sleep properly." I continued, "Back then, I had no hope, so I just let myself feel what I felt. Fortunately, fate brought you to me. I liked you, and your looks happened to be just my type. That was a blessing." Tracy blinked, her ears flushing red again. That was also the night we had our daughter. Time passes, neither too fast nor too slow, and she has been by my side for many years now. She's become my girlfriend, the mom of our pets Rice and Bucket, my wife, and the mother of our daughter. I truly am a man as lucky as one could ever be. To be loved by Tracy is to be the luckiest, happiest man in the world. End.